Hey, welcome everyone. I need to be honest with you right now. This message isn't for everyone. Actually, most people who click on this video are going to leave within the first minute because what I'm about to say is going to make them uncomfortable. It's going to challenge something they're not ready to look at yet. And that's okay. But if you're still here, if something made you stay, that's not an accident. Welcome back. It's Anna, and I'm going to say something that might sound strange. This won't resonate with many, not because the message isn't true, but because most people aren't ready to hear it. Most people are still comfortable in their patterns, still invested in their stories about why things are the way they are. But something tells me you're different. Let me explain what I'm picking up on here. There's a very specific shift happening in your life right now. And it's the kind of shift that separates people. It divides those who are ready to grow from those who want to stay comfortable. Those who are willing to look at themselves honestly from those who need to keep pretending. And if you're watching this, really watching, I think you know which category you're in. Let's pause for a moment because this feels important. You've been noticing something lately, haven't you? A distance growing between you and certain people. Conversations that used to flow easily now feel forced. Topics that used to excite you now feel hollow. Relationships that used to give you energy now leave you feeling drained. Some people experience this as loneliness. They panic. They try to fix it, to go back to how things were, to make themselves smaller so everyone else stays comfortable. But that's not what's happening here. What's actually happening is that you're outgrowing certain spaces, certain conversations, certain versions of yourself that other people got comfortable with. And here's the part that won't resonate with many. That's not a problem to fix. That's growth happening. You may notice yourself sitting in a group of people, maybe friends you've known for years, maybe colleagues you see every day, and feeling like you're speaking a different language. Not literally, but energetically. Like they're invested in things that just don't matter to you anymore. The gossip feels exhausting. The complaining feels pointless. The small talk feels suffocating. This reflection invites you to consider, what if that discomfort is your soul telling you something? I want to slow down for a second because I know this can feel isolating. When you start operating at a different frequency than the people around you, it can feel like you're doing something wrong, like you've become difficult or judgmental or too much. And maybe people have even said that to you. Maybe they've told you you've changed, that you're not as fun anymore, that you take things too seriously. And you know what? They're right. You have changed. But change doesn't mean worse. It can feel like you're standing in your kitchen or sitting at your desk is less than #0. 5# is greater than or lying in bed at night. And suddenly realizing that the life you've been living, it doesn't fit anymore. Not because there's anything wrong with it, but because you've expanded beyond it. And most people won't understand that. Most people will take it personally. They'll think your growth is a judgment of their choices. They'll feel threatened by the fact that you're no longer participating in the same patterns. This won't resonate with many, but you're allowed to outgrow people. You're allowed to outgrow situations. You're allowed to look at your life and say, this isn't serving me anymore. There's a conversation you might need to have soon, or maybe you've already had it. One where you're trying to explain to someone why you're pulling back, why you're not as available, why you're changing the dynamic. And no matter how carefully you word it, they don't get it. They get defensive. They make you feel guilty. They remind you of history, of loyalty, of all the reasons you should stay the same. Some situations in life require us to disappoint people in order to stay true to ourselves. And that right there is what separates people who actually transform from people who just talk about it. Hold on. I need to address something. You might be sitting there thinking, but I don't want to be alone. I don't want to lose people. I don't want to be the person who thinks they're better than everyone else. And I get it. There's this fear that growth means isolation, that evolving means becoming cold or disconnected or superior. But that's not what's happening here. What's happening is that you're making space, you're clearing out relationships and situations that were based on an older version of you. And yes, that creates temporary emptiness. It can feel like loss, but it's possible that the emptiness is necessary, that you can't call in new connections, deeper connections, more aligned connections, until you release your grip on the ones that have run their course. This reflection invites you to consider, what if the loneliness you feel right now is actually preparation for something more authentic? You may notice yourself being more selective lately, more intentional about where you put your energy. You're not saying yes to every invitation anymore. You're not forcing yourself to show up to things that feel obligatory. You're not pretending to be interested in conversations that bore you. And people notice. They comment on it. They ask if you're okay. They wonder what's changed. The truth is, you're just finally being honest. It can feel like you're looking at a text message, one that would have made you immediately respond a few months ago. And you just don't. Not out of rudeness, not out of spite, just out of a genuine lack of resonance. And that's okay. Let me talk about something that most people won't admit. Growth is uncomfortable for the people around you. When you start changing, when you start setting boundaries, when you start choosing yourself, it forces them to look at their own choices. And if they're not ready to look, is less than #0. 5 is greater than if they're still comfortable in their patterns. Your growth feels threatening. So they'll try to pull you back, sometimes subtly, sometimes obviously. They'll remind you of who you used to be. They'll make jokes about your new interests. They'll minimize the things that excite you. They'll create guilt around your boundaries. And if you're not careful, if you're not grounded in your own truth, you'll shrink back down to make them comfortable. But this message won't resonate with many, because most people choose comfort over growth. They choose familiar over authentic. They choose keeping the peace over honoring themselves. You're not most people. There's a moment coming, or maybe it's already happened, where you're going to have to choose. Someone is going to ask you to stay small, to not rock the boat, to go back to how things were. And you're going to have to decide, do I honor them or do I honor myself? Some people experience this choice as painful, as a betrayal of loyalty or history or love. And yes, it can hurt. Choosing yourself often does, especially when you've spent years choosing everyone else. But it's possible that choosing yourself is the most loving thing you can do, not just for you, but for them too. Because when you stop pretending, when you stop performing, you give everyone permission to do the same, even if they're not ready to take that permission yet. I'm not sure why, but I keep seeing this image of you walking away from something, not dramatically, not with anger or resentment, just quietly choosing a different direction. And people are watching. Some are confused. Some are hurt. Some are judging. Some are secretly envious that you have the courage they don't, but you keep walking anyway. It can feel like every step takes you further from what's familiar, further from the safety of being understood, further from the comfort of belonging to something, even if it doesn't fully fit. And that takes courage, real courage, the kind most people don't have. Let's talk about what this actually looks like in your daily life. You might be sitting at your desk doing work that used to satisfy you and feeling this restlessness, this sense that there's more, that you're capable of more, that staying here is actually a betrayal of your potential. Or you might be in a relationship, romantic or friendship or family, and noticing how much energy it takes to maintain it, how much you have to edit yourself, how much you have to perform a version of you that keeps the dynamic stable. This reflection invites you to consider, what if stability isn't always the goal? What if sometimes disruption is exactly what's needed? You may notice yourself attracted to different things now, different content, different conversations, different ways of spending your time. And the people around you might not understand it. They might mock it or dismiss it or try to talk you out of it, but something in you knows it's right, knows it's necessary, knows it's leading you somewhere important, even if you can't see exactly where yet. Trust that knowing. Some situations require us to follow our curiosity even when it doesn't make logical sense, even when we can't explain it to others, even when it looks like we're making our lives harder for no reason. There's something happening with how you're showing up now that's making people uncomfortable. Maybe you're speaking up more. Maybe you're saying no more. Maybe you're just not performing the role they've assigned you. And that creates tension. People don't know how to relate to this version of you. They preferred the version that was predictable, that was manageable, that didn't challenge them to look at themselves. But you can't go back to that version, not without betraying everything you've learned about yourself. This won't resonate with many, but sometimes the right path is the lonely one, at least at first. Let me pause here because I want to be really honest about something. This period of your life, it might get harder before it gets easier. When you start choosing yourself, when you start honoring your truth, there's often a period of loss. People fall away, situations end. The life you were building reveals itself as not quite right. And that can feel devastating. Like you're losing everything. Like you made a mistake. Like you should have just stayed comfortable. But it's possible that what you're actually doing is making room, clearing space, creating the conditions for something more aligned to emerge. You remain in control of your choices here. You can stop this process. You can go back. You can make yourself small again, and maybe some of those people will come back. Maybe some of that comfort will return, or you can keep going. You can trust that the emptiness is temporary. You can believe that there are people out there who will resonate with the real you, not the performed version. I want to ask you something. What relationship or situation in your life right now requires you to be less than you are? Where are you editing yourself? Where are you pretending? Where are you performing a version of you that keeps everyone else comfortable but leaves you feeling hollow? Drop it in the comments if you feel called to share. Sometimes naming it is the first step to changing it. And here's another question. Have you lost anyone recently because of your growth? Or are you afraid you will? I'm curious about your experiences with this. What's one thing you're interested in now that the people around you don't understand? This won't resonate with many. And honestly, that's the point. If this message resonated with everyone, it wouldn't be true. Growth isn't universal. Transformation isn't collective. Some people are ready, most aren't. And if you're still here, if you've made it this far in this reading, I think you know which category you're in. You're ready. You might not feel ready. You might feel terrified and uncertain and like you're making everything harder than it needs to be. But some part of you knows that staying comfortable is actually more painful than growing, knows that pretending is more exhausting than being real, knows that you can't build an authentic life on a foundation of performance. Take what resonates from this, leave what doesn't. But know this, the discomfort you're feeling right now, it's not a sign you're doing something wrong. It's a sign you're finally doing something right. Trust yourself with this. Trust that the people who are meant to be in your life will match your growth or will gracefully fall away. Trust that the space you're creating will be filled with something more aligned. And most importantly, trust that you're not alone in this. Even when it feels lonely, even when it seems like no one understands, there are others on this path, others who chose truth over comfort, others who are willing to walk through the discomfort of growth rather than stay stuck in the familiarity of stagnation. You're finding them, and they're finding you. I'll see you in the next one. And remember, if this didn't resonate with you, that's okay. But if it did, if you felt seen by this message, you're exactly where you need to be. Keep going. I don't sell futures. I build architects. Not predictions, just the naked truth for the hard ones. Stay magic. Stay in the now.